Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Monday. It is the 21st of April. 420 was yesterday. So happened to be that it fell on the holiday of all holidays, Jesus rising once again, right? And you think about 420 and that shouldn't have been the day. But regardless, Easter was yesterday. I guess getting your snacks and your treats and your candy and a
Munchies.
doob all go hand in hand on Easter Sunday. But Jonathan Turner alongside Nathan Wangler, happy to have you along wherever you're watching near and far. You're watching it on the National Soccer Network. And we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Roku. So make sure you subscribe, share this with your friends and family and enemies. I always say that. It is a interesting start to our week here, Mr. Nathan Wangler. As always, we had a very busy weekend, as we always do. We had the Easter holiday, which I had a chance. We'll talk about that this morning. In breaking news, though, to around the world, Pope Francis passing away here this morning. Pope Francis, obviously the Pope, the leader of the Catholic Church, passing away here, I believe, 7:25. Italy time. I don't know if there's like a Rome time. Is it like Rome? I mean, yeah, I'm not sure what time that might be, but passed away. And now that process begins of finding a new pope. Which, if you haven't watched the movie Conclave, you should definitely watch it. That was an inside look into the process of finding a new pope.
Yeah.
I could almost guarantee you that movie is going to go like which I think is on Netflix right now. We'll probably find it'll probably get really a lot of views over the next couple days as Cardinals fly in from all around the world to take part in the process of selecting a new pope.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, it's it's historical, like how long it's been going on, and like obviously someone that grew up going to Catholic schools, I have a unique understanding. Greetings from Montana. What you doing in Montana, Peter?
He's hanging out at Yellowstone is what he's doing.
Oh, really? All right.
Oh yeah, gotta
Cool.
be hanging out, man. Gotta be hanging out
Gotta
at
be.
the ranch, right? The Dutton Ranch is probably where he's hanging out right
hanging out
now.
with the bears out there. Michael, what's up, man? Good morning. Um, yeah, it's crazy just how extensive that process is. But I will say, like I went to Catholic school. I grew up Catholic in a lot of ways. I don't know if I necessarily abide by a lot of that anymore, but I will say this: like Pope Francis, at least, is different than a lot of the other popes. At least I've seen in my lifetime. Just in his willingness to really try to interact and be one with the people. I think we saw a lot of that. He didn't treat himself as if he was, so much higher and above everybody. I think he was, pretty fairly humble for someone that's in a position like that, and really for a position where you're treated like a king. I mean, that's the truth. When you're in that spot. So, yeah, it's pretty extreme, and it's fascinating how much goes into it. So, if you have an opportunity, like JT said, to go watch that movie, or I would watch it, or the show, or whatever it is. Is it a show or a movie?
It's a movie.
Either way, a movie. Okay, all right. So I would go check that out. But yeah, I mean, unfortunate. Any way that you look at it, like I did think, whether regardless of whether you believe in the teachings or not, I thought he was really good at his job. So I thought he was passionate, and I thought he was always first to go out and see the sea of people that would see him whenever he would talk. I mean, he would go out of his way to be something a little bit different than some of the ones the maybe the more pompous of the popes that have come before him. So that was always cool to see. But I guess we all have a timeline, right? We all have a day. So, but it's unfortunate. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. And it's interesting, right? You think about passing away. I mean, Easter is obviously a very important holiday in the Christian world, right? If you're a believer in Christ, and not that we're going to get into a whole bunch of religion talk here on the show, but if you're a believer in Christ, Easter is a holiday that you is very important to you, right?
Sure.
They do say that, and I was just telling my wife about this yesterday, because you think Christmas is, maybe like the biggest American holidays. My understanding, Easter is the biggest American holiday for the Catholic Church, Christian and believers around the country. And so it's a very important day. And then you throw into that the Pope passes away the day after, right? The day after Easter. Very, very interesting how that kind of all shakes up. But yeah, we'll have to see how this process goes. If you watch Conclave, though, it is a very political process.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, again, because as much as we talk about this process, I mean, you have human beings who are all the head of their respective places on earth, and here they all come into a room, and now they're all going to vote, and go through this process and it could take one vote, it could take 100 votes, and so but interesting fact, I believe there's never been an American, right, who's ever
I was just about to say that. Yep.
Never an American that's ever made it, all the way to the papel. Is it called the papel? Papel? Pulpit? No, I mean the pulpit, yes, but I don't know if it's anyways, the papacy. I don't know how you pronounce it, but my bad. Either way, it is Monday morning, and yes, yesterday was Easter, and I don't have a gripe, but I gotta put this out there. So yesterday, for the last number of years, I would say the last half dozen years, Easter Sunday has been one in which, we in our family, have either been working in this environment, or my wife, who comes from that restaurant industry, spent a lot of Easter Sundays managing a restaurant, right? And sometimes we go in there maybe to facilitate or help out, or we go maybe eat at that restaurant. And I'll tell you, Granite City, we'd go there and eat brunch there, and man, their brunch was really good, reasonable too, right? I think getting your brunch, because I look at this and say, okay, well, how reasonable is this brunch going to be, right? I walked into a place yesterday called Andiamo's, and we had Andiamo's probably back maybe 7 or 8 years ago. We went there, I think maybe right before COVID had hit, so maybe it's a little shorter than that. But we'd gone there for an Easter, and nobody. It was just us. I think me and our family, my immediate family, my kids and my wife. We thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, this thing has. I mean, what you're getting on this buffet is not only all this unbelievable hot food, but then their dessert table is off the hook. I mean, I don't even know if I have the right way of really kind of describing this thing. The only thing it was missing was a chocolate fountain, which I know that deeply upset my family, because that chocolate fountain, man, is money, right? No chocolate fountain, and not that killed it at all, but it was the chocolate fountain is a home run. Now I don't eat a lot. I don't eat sweets anymore, so for me the sweet table becomes irrelevant to me.
Is it fun to look at though? Fun to think about?
Yes. Well, I mean, it's fun to live. I mean, you're watching all your family eating cannolis and eating, these different chocolate strawberry. I mean, the opportunity or the options that you have at this dessert table is unbelievable. If you have to walk down a buffet line and you have to go, what is that? What is that? Is that a problem? Yesterday, I'm walking through this buffet line, and first off, my biggest gripe is not the money. The money is part of this, but not the money. It's that, okay, it's brunch, right? So it goes breakfast, and then it goes lunch, right? Not at this buffet. They had you go through lunch. At the end was breakfast. Very confusing. I mean, I don't want to grab my pasta and then mix it with my eggs. That just seems weird to me.
It's fair. It's
right?
fair.
I'm not gonna put right. I mean, maybe I'm off my rocker here, but you don't put.
So just to clarify, right? You get through the breakfast foods, and then you get to the lunch foods, right?
Typically,
1, 2. Okay.
You don't typically do lunch. Then you have a little bit of breakfast and then a chicken piccata mixed in there. That doesn't.
That's fair.
It's just weird. It's like someone was like, "All right, go put the food out there." Oh, my bad. Anyways, it was very confusing as to why the eggs were the last thing. The last thing. Okay.
Oh, so the eggs were the last thing? I figured
that
would be the
thing.
That would be the breakfast.
I would think the first thing, but nope, not. It was the last thing. But we're walking through this line, Nathan, and we're getting to okay, you got the colds, right? You got the bread, a lot of bread options, by the way.
Yeah.
Again, I don't eat that crap. A lot of bread options. You get to like there's some fruit, and then you get to like this cheese tray. And again, you can see the little square cheese. You like the American, and they made a little bit of Swiss. Then there's this one that it looks like it's a mushy. It's green and it's white. Very confusing looking cheese. I'm sitting there. The guy across from me is going, "Do you know what that is?" I go, "No, I don't know what that is." I go, "I'm gonna give it a go." So I put it in my mouth. I still don't know what I ate, man. I still don't know what I ate. I don't know what the green and white cheese was.
Um,
My thought process is maybe they mixed it with avocado, maybe they mixed it with wasabi, but there's no it wasn't
maybe.
spicy. It wasn't
I mean,
spicy.
like when you get the chips and the is like artichoke dip. I know that's got like sometimes like a green
That's
something
spinach.
to it. Yeah, I guess there's spinach in it. But
It
this
wasn't
this was
spinach.
cheese then.
I don't know what it was. I think my wife had some too. We maybe she I don't know. I don't know
Yeah, how are
what
you
was in
feeling
it.
today?
It
That's
was
the other
I
question.
mean, I don't feel bad or anything. I
Okay,
mean,
well,
I know I
good.
didn't
I
get
mean,
poisoned, but I
all
mean,
right.
it's just like I know you can't make signs for everything, but if you're gonna throw a green and white cheese on a cheese platter, maybe there should be like a little card saying, "Hey, this is wasabi based cheese," or I don't know, man. Like, it's like it doesn't make any sense to me, man.
That's
This is
probably
the
the
part.
one. That's probably the one for the frequent flyers. It's probably one that they all
The
like.
frequent flyers.
Yeah, the one that they know it. They probably know what that cheese is, so they don't feel like they have to describe what the cheese is anymore. But, for someone like myself or like, you that walks in there, they probably don't know. But I mean, was it good? I guess that's the other question.
Here, let's take a look at this. This is the actual sweet table here.
Wow.
All right, so
Ooh.
this is it, man. Look at this thing. I mean, that is just. Look. I mean,
Ooh.
it just goes on and
Oh
on
my
and
God.
on, man. I mean, it just. By the way, home run. The wife's clearly listening to our show, which is fantastic because she just texted this to me. I don't take videos of this stuff anymore because I don't partake in it. So,
It's been like
it's
half
just
the restaurant. It's like window shopping for you now. It's not bad. You could look.
was there some form of a quiche? I don't know. No, because quiche wouldn't be on a cheese platter.
JT just keeps
Maybe I'm
spiraling
wrong.
every
Maybe
time we
I'm
throw
wrong.
out a new idea. No.
Yeah, I don't think it
Yeah.
was a quiche. I just don't know what that was, and that's the part. Okay, and I tried it. I gave it a go. I'm like, well, it's cheese. It can't be that bad, right? Someone's like, was it blue cheese? No, but blue cheese has like that bluish look to it. It doesn't. I mean, that's why they call it blue cheese. They don't call it green cheese. I mean, there's a book called Green Eggs and Ham, but I mean, I'm assuming the eggs were green,
Right.
right? I mean, they weren't blue. I mean, so yeah, it's
I mean, does
you know,
Bianca have a guess as to what it is? I feel like we haven't looped her in on this yet. We've gotten a couple
uh,
of different ideas, but Bianca, if you're
Bianca,
out
do you
there
have any
listening, I
idea
mean,
what that cheese was?
what's the
Nope,
guess?
she has no idea.
She's shaking her head too.
It was definitely cheese, though. That's what she said. She was definitely cheese. So, and it was not a quiche. So, it's the mystery cheese. Hey, if you're paying attention on Diamos, I would love to know what the hell that was yesterday. It was not bad, but I don't know what it was.
It's good.
And
Good.
yeah,
But mystery cheese can be scary though too. I'll give you that, JT. I mean, you don't want to, you don't want to try the mystery cheese and then you have some sort of mystery disease at the end of it. So,
well,
that's that's the other side. But if it was good, then job well done, I guess.
yeah. I mean, hey, you just throw it. Hey, let's just we gotta get rid of this moldy cheese. Let's just throw it in the tray over here. It was moldy.
Green
What
cheese.
it is.
We got a
I
slot
mean,
to fill. We got to fill
I
it
mean,
up.
isn't cheese on some level like technically like
Yeah,
isn't it like
it's
technically a mold or a fungus? Isn't that kind of how it? I mean,
I think
technically, I
so.
don't.
Yeah, because it's like milk,
What are we
right?
talking about right now, man? This is.
Like
I'm
aged
sorry,
milk.
like way
No,
into
it's
the
okay. Cheese.
wrong land. Hey,
People love
so
cheese.
people do like cheese. I think it's true. Hey, it's
Same.
Monday morning. It is currently 9:14 here in the morning. Big opportunity for us last night on the National Soccer Network. We talked about it on Friday. Last week, the MASL had reached out to me and said, "Hey, we love what you've been doing for us this season as far as distribution. Any thoughts on doing a pregame show for the final on Sunday night in Chihuahua?" And I said, "Yeah, I mean, I got to find out who's available because there's that component to it. You're talking about Easter Sunday, right?" And so I knew a rule was like, yeah, I can do it. And obviously Dan Stickrat, I think he lives here now. So he just
Steady
kind of
Eddie.
rolled on it. Yeah, he just rolled on in. And I'll tell you, man, I was really thoroughly impressed with how we were able to pull this thing off. I'm gonna share it on our screen here, and it was I thought it came out really really well. And granted, I'm obviously a little bit biased. I was the producer last night, so if you're gonna give me, if you're gonna give me any slack, or you think I'm being too biased, then I guess go to another channel, I guess, right now, because I'm gonna pat myself on the back. But yeah, I mean, this was this was the start of the show last night. I wanted, God, this is kind of a cool way. Oh man, here comes those damn ads again, dude. I mean, I know they pay me and all, but they are so annoying. But yeah, so this was the intro into the show last night. And right now I do have it muted so that we can kind of go through, but there they are, like in our studio here in Shelby Township. I mean, it looks really good.
It looks solid. It looks professional. I like the scrolling drone shot in the background of downtown Detroit. That's a really good look too. But what the other thing that I appreciate is the B-roll that you guys play on top of it, because I know we're getting towards the segment where you guys get a player on to interview, but all of this is really impressive. That's the other side of it too. I think the spacing is good. But it's amazing what you can do in a green room like we have at the studio. And that's the thing for, like, when we talk about like broadcasters and coming on and doing stuff with us, like, yeah, it is remote, but you got to think we have the capability of making you look like you're in a professional space, and that's what this is. So to parlay someone like Neil Rule into that, which I'm sure he's having a ball right now with the Pistons being in the playoffs. Obviously that first game against the Knicks was not great, but he's on top of the world right now. But this, I mean, just the look of it too. I mean, you want to talk about a professional look. That's pretty good too. I like Dan Stickrat's fit, man. I love it.
Well, we were having an issue in the early going because for some reason his pants. He looked like Marty McFly a little bit from Back to the Future, where his family is not, the future is not exactly like what it's supposed to be, so he starts to disappear, and that's kind of what we were having a little bit with Dan. He kept disappearing on me. It's like I had to figure out why the green screen was doing that. That might be a lighting thing. We're working on it. Lighting is the biggest component to what we do when it comes to the green screen. And here's a look at Chad Vandergriff. He was the defensive player of the year. It was funny. The league was like, I'm not sure what room he was in though. Like a lot of hats on that back wall there. But
we got we got a couple fedoras back there.
Oh yeah, he's got, like, I'm not sure what room he was in. At least it wasn't like swords hanging in the background, or that'd be maybe a little weirder. But but yeah, there had some B-roll. I mean, yeah, this thing. I mean, it came out really, really good. And I'm extremely happy with how this thing kind of rolled out and shook out. On him,
and for a big championship game like that too, like you got to have something that. Getting the plane off the ground is the most important part, when it comes to a broadcast, any good broadcast. And so, when people are coming in, if the first thing they witness is a great open or a great pregame, clearly that's going to keep them around. I mean, a lot of people are going to watch that game regardless because it is the championship. But, for you guys to carry it like that and get someone involved, it's all real good stuff. But it's also, I'm sure it drew a lot of eyes too when you think about this championship and all the implications and storylines behind it. I mean, that's a great way to really parlay that into it. So no, I love it. I love the look on it. I love the spacing too is the other thing. How you guys got them just so perfectly apart to where you can see everything in the middle. That's really great. I also love the breakdown too. Because I know you guys, it seemed like you had it all scheduled out and all planned out, and I got to listen to a little bit of it, and I thought it went seamless. So, I don't know if you guys got any feedback from the league itself, but just the look of it itself, I thought it came together really well.
Yeah, no, it did, and we had feedback from the league. The league was very happy. We wanted to get more interviews. We weren't able to get any more interviews, but. Hey, that's sometimes it's a new thing, right? This league is as professional as it might be. It's still a league that's still trying to figure out what I think its true identity, right?
Yep.
And where they fit into all this, right? So it's a process that we're working through with the league, and I'm sure that in the coming year and in years to come, we'll hopefully have a bigger impact, and teams will maybe take this a little more seriously. I mean, I think overall that show just has under 2,000 views right now, right? So,
Mm.
So that's a huge thing for us, being able to be able to go out there. That was live on MASL TV and our platform. The reason why I did that is I could have directed everybody to our platform. We were producing it, so the entire show was produced by us. Our logo's on that screen, for a good chunk of it, right? You're watching the National Soccer Network. We're pushing out it, we're talking about it. So the whole league, if they didn't know who we were, those 2,000 viewers do now. And hopefully it leads to a much more important, relationship with the
Yeah.
league here
Yeah.
in
And like
coming
I said,
weeks and months.
people were looking for history yesterday, and so it's cool that they came to our platform for that pregame show before watching that. Is it available to be watched on the networks? Yes, sir. It is. It is under the live section on the NSN YouTube page, I believe. So you can go there and watch it. By the way, all the broadcasts, all the stuff that we do, anything, it's all on demand on YouTube. It's a nice thing about what we do. Even from the play-by-play perspective, if you want to go back and watch it, it's just right there on the page. So go check that out. I will say this, and it doesn't have anything to do with the pregame show, but how about Chihuahua winning their third straight? I mean, like that team, and to do it with 3 different coaches, JT, that's unheard of. I mean, that team, they might never lose again at home. I don't understand when anyone's going to finally get through to them. And I remember I was chatting with a few people during baseball this week, and they were reminiscing on the old Joe Louis, where the Wings used to play. And I only got to go there once. I don't know if you got to go there a couple of times, but I remember them saying like the Wings just. There's just something about that stadium. They just knew how to play in it. I don't know. They just knew the carom off the board. Sometimes you would get a weird deflection, and it would just happen to kick in front of net, and so they were able to really kind of take advantage of that. Plus, you factor in how deep they were and how talented they were, and just
Yeah.
the everything else like that. So that plays into it too. But that's kind of like where Chihuahua is right now. I mean, to win 3 straight and spotless at home is just, like I said, they're a scary team. I don't know if anyone's ever going to beat them. Be honest with you.
Well,
It's
and
crazy.
it's that we conversation with the obviously I have a great relationship with the league, and we talk about this. I mean, the reality is that, and we talked about this when I was a kid. When I was playing high school soccer, we'd go to certain facilities around the state that would really toe the line in regards to the dimensions of the field, right?
Hmm.
And it's it was a competitive advantage that you would have this smaller field because you're so used to playing in a much wider open space, and that
Hmm.
would be a thing. But in this scenario, there is an advantage that Chihuahua would have in regards to the dimensions of the field and how the ball bounces on that field with a different thing. So that is
Hmm.
I would say a significant advantage. But take a look here. Look at this. Ray Mossy hopping on in there, my man, Mr. Turner. It's a goal. It is. It is. I mean, we could say it's a goal. I mean, there's no goals happening right now, but maybe later today will be a goal. The Savage Arena appears to be slightly undersized compared to typical hockey rinks. It is true. We can obviously talk about that probably for days, and maybe it's just a camera. No, it is a smaller field. There's no doubt. The way the ball
Oh,
bounces off the boards too. There's a number of challenges when you walk into that environment, and some would say that that's going to be probably a core reason as to why they're having as much success as they do. I think the same could be said about San Diego, right? They were undefeated at home this season too, in the playoffs, and undefeated at home during the regular season. So, those 2 teams were the best teams at home and the best on the road. So there was no better matchup than last night.
mhm,
And keeping in
mhm,
mind that San Diego had won 4 in a row back in the early 2000s. So, and then now Chihuahua, here they are. They've won 3 in a row. So that was, and it went last night. I mean, remember, San Diego won at home in that first matchup last weekend on Sunday. They won 7-5. And then they go yesterday, and they were actually up 3-1 at one point in that game. And then they ended up falling short 10-6 in that first game. And they went this mini game where they won. Chihuahua scored 6 goals. So they won that mini game, and
mhm.
they ended up winning the whole thing. But that is the MASL final. It took place last night in Galazo, as well as on MASL TV. So
building on that rivalry too. I mean, that's the other component to it. And you think about what San Diego was able to do with their 4 straight, and now they can't quite get back to the top of the mountain just because of this
that
one
was
team.
First time San Diego's ever lost in a final. They've gone 6 previous times and won 6 times, right? And then last night they fell short. So it's that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes, is what they say, right? At least that's how Jim Carrey would say it in Bruce Almighty. That's how the cookie crumbles, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good little plug there. We also did the high school ranking show last night. High school ranking show was last night here on the National Soccer Network, and getting into the Michigan high school rankings, as we always do. And Patty Cesarini was on not vacation, but she was at home, hanging out with her family. It's Easter Sunday. Can you believe it? They want us to do rankings on Easter Sunday, and we did them. And we did a condensed version last night, but we'll start here with Division 4, as we always do. But Relic Shrine is sitting there again right now at that number 1 spot. That is the second consecutive week for Shrine at the number 1 spot. There were 12 total changes this week. They had 1 team come in and 1 go out. Arbor Springs entered the top 15. Granville Calvin Christian did bounce out. The biggest change in this one was North Muskegon. They were 4th last week, and they are 11th this week. They moved 7 spots in that in Division 4. Take a look here now at Division 3. Division 3 had a total of just 8 changes. And again, Grand Rapids Catholic Central is still sitting atop the table in the rankings. 1 team, 1 in and out. Flint Power is leaving. Milan entering at the 15th spot. They were previously unranked. The biggest move in this one up 5 was Brooklyn Columbia Central. They were 13 last week. They are now 8. Take a look here now at Division 2. There it is. Hudsonville Union Christian still holding right there at that number 1 spot. That is the 3rd consecutive week for them. Remember, they won the Division 3 state final last year. They moved up to Division 2 because of their school size. 6 total changes in this one. No teams in or out. The biggest move would have been up 3, Holly, which had never been ranked going into last week, now moving from the number 14 spot to number 11. That's impressive. Again, Eric Ransom doing a fantastic job. They're currently 6-0, by the way. And then we look here at Division 1. There it is. Saline still holding at that number 1 spot. Division 1 had a total of 11 changes. And again, Saline in that 1 spot. Muskegon Mona Shores and Northville. Muskegon bounced out and Northville bounced in. They're currently sitting at 15 at 3-1-2. Biggest change in this one, Portage Central moving from 4 to 9. Everybody else really kind of hanging out in the same spots as they were. And that is your rankings for week number 3.
I thought it was interesting looking through all those, like in Division 4, I know there was a lot of movement, but it's interesting to see the top 2 kind of stay the same. You see Western Michigan Christian still in the mix there at number 2. They're kind of knocking on the door of that number 1 spot, but they're right there. But Royal Oak, clearly the start they've had of the year has been unbelievable. I will say in Division 3, and I've actually had some conversations with people that actually work over at Grand Rapids Catholic Central, and it's not too far from where I'm at. I actually grew up right down the road from, they call it the Cat over at CC. It's their athletic facility. They just built their football stadium. It was just a handful of years ago, but it was millions and millions of dollars, but it's state of the art, and that's where they play their games. And just in talks with some of them, they really feel like they have something this season, that they have a true ability to go on and win the whole thing. Michael says soccer's leading scorer being unable to travel with the team to Mexico. Black eye for the MASL. It's a shortcoming of the league if players are unable to travel to play in league matches, even more so a championship match. Yeah, it's interesting. I guess we didn't really attack that storyline this morning. I know we were talking about rankings, but what do you think about that, JT?
The problem, is as you know it right now, are they saying Tavoy Morgan? Because Tavoy Morgan was there. So I guess I need to clarify. He
He
played in
was
that
their
game
top
yesterday.
scorer. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
he was
Yep.
he was there.
Yeah.
He kept getting fouled. He kept fouling. He had 5 fouls at one point. One more foul, he would have been ejected from the game. Right.
Yeah.
So that was probably a reason why maybe down the stretch you didn't see him. And ultimately he did get ejected. Right. So when you play, and then there's like chaos. I mean, there was a coach last night from Chihuahua that put another player in a headlock during the middle of the game. I want to.
Let's go.
I gotta
I love arena soccer.
I gotta
League,
see because they had the Spanish version. And I don't think the Spanish version last night had any interruptions. I know the Golazo, excuse me, that game did have an interruption towards the end. Let me take a look here and see if they actually have is this the third quarter? That's okay. So it like happened right at the end of the half. Let's find it here. I want to just go. Oh, here we go. So I'm gonna show this. I'm not gonna lie, man. This was a very interesting moment last night. Here it is. I'm gonna go ahead and play it now. So you can see the head coach is gonna come off the bench, right? Two guys are getting kind of a bit of a tussle, right? Out comes the coach talking to the referee, right? And here he comes, right? And ultimately, still happening. I guess. Well, maybe they're gonna show some replays. I guess. Oh yeah,
He might have cut away from. Oh boy.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on there. And again, I know that the head coach like literally put a player or another coach in a headlock, and they talked about it on the broadcast. The coach was still there in the second half. A lot of chaos. A lot of chaos there at the half. So here you can see him. He's in the black and gray suit there on your. He's just trying to get.
Hey, you know what? I probably not a great look, but I will say this adds to rivalries. I'm just saying, it adds to it. I mean, every year when we watch Michigan, Ohio State, right, you're going to see something like that, and even in these heated rivalries, you're going to see something like that. I'm not justifying it, but it's interesting because Dan and I were talking about it on the broadcast last time those two faced off in the regular season in Chihuahua. I mentioned the other side of it too, like, you know, you got the old team that used to run things, and you got the new kid on the block who won't relinquish their power. I mean, going on to win 3 straight. You got that dynamic. You also have the USA versus Mexico dynamic too. I mean, San Diego is our best representation from here. I know Chihuahua, I think they're the only team from Mexico in the league. I know Monterrey used to have a team, but I don't believe the Monterrey Flash, but I don't believe they're in the league anymore. I could be wrong. But you know, that's the other angle to it. So I suspected something like this would happen because even in the game that we did, I mean, there was chippiness, there was pushing, there was energy, which in the regular season to see that, I mean, you just know that when you get into the playoffs, it's a kettle cooker. It's bound to pop off at some point. You just gotta wait, and clearly they got to that point there, and that's that, like I said, even looking forward to next year, getting ready for those two teams. I'm sure it's going to be the same exact thing, but I'm just wondering whether or not Chihuahua is going to have the same coach for next year.
And no, it's true. And Random Aussie in the comments section saying, I watched your interview yesterday, Mr. Turner. Great job. So with the games coming up this season, which locations are you looking at calling? First off, I gotta touch on this. So we did this interview with Lily Jekyll on Friday afternoon, right after our baseball and track and field broadcasts, and kind of as we were kind of getting ready to leave get ready for this big weekend. And so this was recorded. And so I made a snafu here yesterday. I'm going to call myself out for it because it's hilarious. We're kind of floating here. You actually see our bodies cut off on the screen here. I don't know if you see that, Nathan. Yep. There, we're like kind of floating. You kind of see like I'm cut off a little bit. Yep. So I did slide in here with the graphic to save the day here in about 3, 2, 1 because I noticed it. I'm like, okay, I made a boo-boo. So here it should come right now. There it is. Okay. Whew. Like So, uh, but anyways, I got to talk about this player. We talk with a lot of different players. We talk with a lot of coaches, players, parents across. We talked with Elara Jakubowski last week, and another very intelligent, great soccer player who is a junior right now at Utica Eisenhower. And Lily Jaco is a sophomore at Lake Orion High School. She plays the Nationals ECNL. And we'll move this on the screen now. These dang ads keep popping up on our screen, which is great. But we're having this conversation yesterday. I'm sorry, on Friday, and again, she's just the responses to her questions. All right, so I asked her a number of questions, and I had in preparation, I had my questions. They're right here, actually. I asked her a number of questions, but one of the questions I asked her is, what advice would you have for a younger version of yourself? And her response to that question was pretty impressive. I'm going to play the sound here.
Definitely a challenge to choose.
To be with friends. Is there a player that you would
Wow.
I want to find it here.
The men's game, the women have 2020. Getting selected and getting picked.
Right now, it's really important that I
Correct. But as part of that, though, I'd imagine you are one of the more active
live life, but also what come out to watch.
positive ways you possibly can, and you've been very successful at that. And obviously commend you on being able to do that and getting yourself in a position where not only you're one of the best players in the question you before, what advice would you have for the younger version of yourself, right? But where you are right now, is there anything you would do differently as a player looking back on it maybe 5 years ago and saying, hey, maybe if I did this, maybe would give me a little spot, maybe I'd be the top 10 prospect wise or things like that?
I think always listen to what my parents are saying, because they know what they're talking about, and don't pretend like I know it all. They understand more than I do, especially some not just soccer, but learning aspects and taking a step back and understanding I have to trust people older than me and not just myself.
Can you say it to my kids? I mean, listen to your parents, kid. That's a good one. I mean, I don't know how many 16-year-olds.
How many 16-year-olds answer that question by saying, listen to your parents? I don't.
Right.
I mean, the answer there is unbelievable. I mean, I'm just thinking about this morning. I think 7 different versions of my wife and I had to tell our son to take care of the dog. It's and here she's saying, listen to your parents.
Oh,
now granted, I'm not going to, my guess is that she probably, like most teenagers, probably does struggle to, hey, take the garbage out, right? That might not be, but, what a great response, right? I mean, she could have answered that question 1,000 different ways. You know what I mean? But she didn't, she answered the question by saying, listen to your parents, because they are wiser than I am. And, that's cool. That's really, really cool. And, she is a top 27 prospect, top 25 prospect in the country for a reason. She is very good on the soccer field, as you can see behind her there. She plays for Detroit City FC during the summertime, so we'll see her when she plays against Union FC Macomb, as well as Midwest United. Very talented, intelligent, and well-spoken for a 16-year-old.
Yeah, and for someone who is that talented and on that level, and I'm sure gets a lot of attention, it's tough to be able to sit back and be like, I got to listen to my parents and what they have to say. That's a really, really impressive, mature thing to say. The other thing I'll say is at 16 years old to answer that seamlessly, I gotta imagine that's not the first interaction she's had with media. I kid you not. I've interviewed 18-year-olds before that struggle to put a sentence together. To do that at 16 and not even skip a beat. I mean, that's the other side. Maybe after soccer's done, maybe there's a career in broadcasting worked in there somewhere, because I clearly she did not skip a beat. But I'll say this: to have the wherewithal at 16 to say that is impressive. Listen to the commentators. Yeah.
Well, I made this point to her. We talked about it with Elara last week, and I'll talk with every player I ever come in contact with, because I think it's important that we do this. When we start talking about soccer, and I alluded to this last week or a few weeks ago on our show about how it's important that the players have to engulf if they want to be a part of this game forever. You have to
Yeah.
engulf yourself in every aspect of the game, right? And I told this to Lily here on Friday. I'm like, hey, I go, yeah, you're a player, and I know that you're putting a lot of time and energy into being a player, but go out and be a trainer, go out and be a referee, go out and be a coach. I mean, all these different things. Go be a fan and go enjoy a game every once in a while and just be there as a fan. Go do those things, because if you do those things, then when your playing days are over, you're still involved. Because that's the one thing, like I said before, that it's really hard for you to, when you're no longer in it, to want to stay in it, right? You want to get away from it, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but we need more players who are at this high level to still want to be a part of it when they're done, and not just disappear. And not to say that that's, I guess, wrong for the players like me, like Mia Hamm, for example, right? She was a tremendous talent in the United States, but as soon as her career was over with, she kind of just disappeared. I
Mhm.
mean, yeah, she's got some camps, but I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you don't hear much from Mia Hamm,
Right.
and that's an injustice to the game. The likes of Julie Foudy and Cindy Parlow Cohn, right? They're obviously very much involved. I mean, she's in charge of U.S. Soccer. Cindy
Mhm.
Cohn is.
Mhm.
Julie Foudy is a well-known broadcaster now. But I mean, like,
Mhm.
should players just, like, the best players in the world just leave? I mean, like, just
Yeah.
go. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean,
I don't. I'm like Michael Jordan. Remember, he just left. He
yeah.
left twice. I
Yeah.
mean,
And then he owned a team, but
yeah, but I mean, he's not. I mean, my point though is, it's like, do you?
yeah.
Like Peyton Manning is a good example. Peyton Manning kind of found a way to use his humor a little bit, right, throughout his playing career, and then he kind of turned it into, like, now he's not really as much involved with football, right? He's just kind of out there,
Mhm.
and just
Yeah.
kind of like adding, I think, levity and humor to football. I mean, the whole
Right.
thing with Jeff Daniels at Ford Field, with putting whiskey in the bathtub on the field, like that was hilarious.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. I feel like that players, if they want the game to be to continue to rise, you've got to still find a way to somehow be a part of it in an important way. And I'm not saying that you have to be like all in like you would if you were in another environment, but I still feel like these players, like, they should still stick around and do stuff with it. They should still be
Right.
more involved and maybe be more vocal about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like
It's
we
true.
need them to stick around.
Yeah. I mean,
Especially in
it's a
soccer, not other sports. I get it, whatever. But soccer
yeah.
needs it, right? Soccer needs it more than you can imagine.
Experience is the most valuable thing. But you're right. I mean, the market itself, and it's tough, even as a former player, like, to get on TV and some of those other sports, like, you still have to be good on air. You still have to be,
I'm not talking
solid
about
in
TV,
other
dude. I'm
ways.
not talking about TV. I'm just talking
Well,
about
TV.
generally. Just
Well,
get
yeah, but
involved.
TV's one aspect of that. I mean, TV's
Yeah.
one aspect of that because your experience as a player is going to lend you to being able to paint better pictures on TV and interviews. I mean, doing interviews as a member of the media. I mean, there's a large impact you can have. But yeah, I mean, in other ways too. But yeah, I mean, the other side is I won't fault anybody for doing what they want to do in retirement. Truth is you gave a lot to the game when you were in the game too. So I wouldn't necessarily, that's a bad thing. Just speaking on Mia Hamm specifically. I mean, I don't, once you get to, the ability to step away, it's probably nice to step away. The truth is like, the burnout's real. And when you do something for your whole life, I'm sure when you don't understand anything else, it's nice to actually get out and do other things. But, and this is the same thing that I tell Victoria Quay, who works with us, like, your superpower is the fact that you played the sport at a high level. What makes you special, what sets you apart is that you did that, so you can leverage that in training, you can leverage that in coaching, you can leverage that in media, you can leverage that in any of the other ways. But you're right, the only way it's going to grow is if we have that combined effort really top to bottom. But being a former player is the thing that will put you over the top. And I know, at least from experience and calling different things that I played specifically, it makes a huge difference. So that's really cool though. And yeah, I mean, any way you can stay involved, there are options, and obviously for Lily, I mean, the world's her oyster right now. I mean, at 16 years old to be playing the way that she's playing, like, the career itself is going to be long lasting and healthy, and she's got many years ahead of her. But if you can get it in your head earlier than later that there's still going to be options when the playing days are over, that's sometimes it's going to make that stepping away part a lot easier. And that was something else that Victoria touched on when I talked to her, like being able to understand, or when we talked to her, being able to understand that even when it's the playing side is over, because that's the hardest part, right? Because that's all you've known is playing the sport your whole life. You might have been a fan of this team or that team, or but having this understanding that you can make an impact in different ways. And like I said, like just listening to what Lily was talking about, there could be a future in media there too. Michael, moving on to the spotlight helps former players resume some sort of normal life. Yeah, that too. That too. You don't have to be the main focus.
I'm not even saying again. There are certain players that elevate the game, right? We talk about it. Michael Jordan elevated the game of basketball in this country, right? He elevated literally and figuratively.
He saved the NBA.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, LeBron James he's elevated the game, right? And as much as you may or may not like him, I mean, he's done that, right? You look at football. Tom Brady, right? I mean, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning. These are all players that like they lifted the league up on their shoulders and they carried the league for their playing days. Who lifted up the women's game in this country? Well, Mia Hamm did. Right now, she obviously did it with Julie Foudy. She did it with Abby Wambach. She did it with the likes of Hope Solo. Did it with the likes of the newcomers, Alex Morgan, Megan Rapinoe. Like these are all players that kind of helped, again, continue to kind of take the torch and run with it. And I don't disagree that they should have a normal life. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that you put your entire life you've been playing soccer, and you are arguably one of the best players to ever play the game. And as soon as you're done, you're done.
And their entire life they've been in the spotlight too.
No, yeah, I get that, but again, I mean, to be fair though, Mia Hamm was not always in the spotlight. Women's soccer in this country, she brought it into the spotlight.
Mm.
Like, I mean, when she was playing in North Carolina, winning national championships, I mean, I don't know how many people were paying attention to her and that school at that time. Right? They were having a hard time getting people. There's in one of their World Cup kind of documentaries, they're talking about how in that first World Cup, they got off the plane, nobody was there waiting for them. Right? And they were like, they're selling out the World Cup, at each stadium when they played the World Cup here in 1999. Right? Like that was a thing. So I don't know if she always had the spotlight on her for most of her career. Now, towards the tail end of her career and for much of her international career, yes, for sure. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have I'm just saying that I don't know how much of an impact the likes of Mia Hamm or players like her who have kind of helped elevate and put the game, so to speak, in the spotlight, just walking away, if that's the right and responsible thing to do. And as someone in the media, yeah, it's easy for me to say, why aren't you doing this? Of course she wants a normal life. Doesn't mean that she can't go out there and try to be on ESPN once a week or go out there and try to, do this. I don't know. And I'm not trying to bring her down because she's an unbelievable talent. And my understanding, a great human being.
Right.
I just, when it comes to soccer, I feel like we need more out of our high level talent to continue to help elevate it. I mean, if you ask players today, who's the greatest female athlete in the history of soccer in this country, I don't know if they'd put Mia Hamm in that conversation. You know what I mean? Like everybody knows where, Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, right, Walter Payton are, and when it comes to the greatest running backs in the history of the game. They know that. You could ask anybody. Anybody who knows anything about basketball will know that it's Michael Jordan or LeBron James. Like you get that argument, right, about, who's the greatest basketball player of all time. Who's the greatest female soccer player of all time? If you ask a 12-year-old right now who never watched her play a soccer game, would they know the answer to that?
No, probably not. But
in here lies the problem.
But
because most of these kids, they've never watched Walter Payton play, never watched Barry Sanders play. But I could argue that I bet you that a majority of these kids growing up, because when they're watching a football game, what happens when they're watching a football game? They bring up the Walter Payton stat, the Walter Payton Man of the Year, Barry Sanders, right? Emmitt Smith. They're constantly being thrown in there. Now, granted, Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith don't do a ton of media anymore. They don't have to. They don't have to, Nathan. But
Right.
soccer players, they have to.
Right.
They have to. I'm saying you as a soccer player have to. You have to do more. You have to. We are not in the luxury where we can just walk out on the field and then we leave and into obscurity and like everyone remembers who you are.
Mhm.
No. The reason we all remember Megan Rapinoe is not because of how she played soccer, but because of how she got yelling and screaming about politics and all the things. I mean, how many people are thinking about her from the standpoint of playing? No, she was a very polarizing figure on the field. What she was saying, not on doing on the field, but out in the world is what makes her relevant.
Yeah. And it
Hope
brings
Solo, same
yeah.
thing, right? Hope Solo's a
Right.
great player, but her obnoxiousness outside the game is what people remember.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
these players they need to recognize that yes, right now it might sound like they want a normal life. I get it, but don't you want soccer to only get better? Don't you want the game to be where everybody wants to be a part of it? And right now, that's still not the case. We're still not in that world where everybody wants to be around this beautiful game. And how do we do that? Well, you have to go out there and you have to do double time. You've got to grassroots it. You've got to be in front of the camera as many times as you can. That's what you have to do.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, but part of stepping away from the spotlight, I mean, isn't necessarily taking yourself completely out of it. I mean, to your point, like there's still ways of sticking around and contributing. And I mean, it's not like Mia Hamm has to be the greatest player of all time, but the fact that she played at that level does change everything. I'd say people know the name. I wouldn't say that whether they want to call her the greatest ever, that's a different question. But that gives you already it changes everything. Is this your rankings, Random Mossy?
I think he's saying Carly Lloyd, Michelle Akers. Now, Carly Lloyd was, I think, a two-time player
Yeah,
of the year, of like world player of the year. I think that
which
she
is
was like a two-timer.
crazy. Yeah,
It might have been a third time. I mean, she was. I mean, and to be fair, she's a good example of like what like Michael Jordan, right? She was not the best player on her team. She
hmm
played a center midfield position. And she found a way through pure will and might and whatever you want to call it to
yeah,
be able to find a way
right.
to get the job done. Look at it, Jimmy Co hopping in. Look at that, Jimmy Co. I haven't seen you in a
Jimmy,
bit. Jimmy Co, we are
what's
talking
up?
all things right now. Why players, when it comes to soccer, when they retire, like don't come back. They aren't in the spotlight anymore. They're not getting involved in the game in the way that they should.
Yeah,
You look at men's side, Taylor Twellman, right? Very much involved in the game. Tony Miola, Tim Howard, they're in the media. Landon Donovan, we've seen that. Clint Dempsey, right? They have really kind of taken on this, but in the women's game specifically, I don't know. I mean, I know Megan Rapinoe, I think she has her own podcast. I know that there's a number of other former players that have. I think Tobin Heath has her own podcast now as well. So they're all doing those kind of media things. Is that enough? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. But I'm saying that the best players in this country like need to be out in front as much as they possibly can
hmm
in order to continue to elevate this game and to put us in a spot where 20 years from now everyone remembers who Christian Pulisic was, everyone remembers who Alex Morgan was, everyone remembers these players because they are the ones that took the torch, so to speak, and ran with it to help us
yeah,
elevate this game so that we are in fact competing for World Cups and international championships on a regular basis.
yeah. And you don't have to listen. You don't have to pull the Aaron Rodgers and disappear into the mountains the way I'm sure he is once the playing career is over. Like you don't have to go to that extreme.
He'll
Like
still be on McAfee show.
yeah, that too. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
he'll still do it.
He'll still be around. But I mean, yeah, Platt would be perfect example. I mean, talking football on there, and it looks different for everybody too, and that's the hard thing because like when they're on the field, that just comes naturally to them. I mean, it comes naturally to them. Like it's not that they don't have to try; they do have to try. And the tough thing is, and when we talk about comparing sports, the reason why it's hard to compare like basketball and soccer is because in basketball, you know, it's go get a bucket. Especially in high leverage games, just bring it up, go get a bucket. In soccer, you need all the pieces to connect. It's a big field. You need every single person working in perfect harmony in order to go get a goal. It's a lot different than a basketball court. It's completely different story. So it's tough to really point out one individual player, but for those players who, in a lot of ways, through their playing career, they were pioneers. Now it's on you to continue that into the media side. And it's interesting you bring up the men's side, because I think a lot of those players, you think about Landon Donovan, Tim Howard, Taylor Twellman, all of those guys, they actually did a really good job, I think, of Clint Dempsey too. Clint Dempsey's another great example. I think he's really well spoken. I mean, listening to him during Panama and then Canada after that, like, he just gives you a better understanding of a lot of different things that you're seeing in front of you. Like, for those guys you could tell that there's this real concentrated push for them to continue to grow the conversation, because the other side is too. The women's side has been there, done that. They've won gold medals. They've won World Cups. So it's just a matter of continuing almost business as usual. You're still trying to grow the game of the U.S. I get it, but that the other side, for the men's side, that's why you kind of see, in my mind, the energy and the approach and the focus from a lot of those former U.S. men's national team players, and how much they've given their opinions on the current state of soccer in the U.S., because that's really their focus too. I mean, they just want to get people talking. That's the whole point of why we do this here. Like, the more that you get people to just talk or ask questions or, intrigue them in any way whatsoever, that's going to help draw them to the game, and so long as you're watching something about soccer, or you're in the building where there's a soccer game, or you're entering conversation spaces about soccer, great. That's good. If we can get any sort of unique person to get involved in this, or even on their podcast, that's perfect. But again, where they're coming from, I don't have that resume to my name. Yeah, I mean, on the media side, I've done a few things, but I'm not a former player. And so, for the likes of those guys to be able to really invest a lot back in is really important. But again, I'll always say I understand the other side too. Like, once you get to the end of it, it's like, it's easy to say, try to find a way to stick around, but I also get the other side too, where, maybe they just want to get away from it a little bit. But no, you're right, JT. I hear what you're saying.
Episode 68 is officially in the books. And well, I mean, when I say officially, we're almost done wrapping the show up here today. Tomorrow we'll be back at this, doing the same thing, just a different day. There's nothing really on the schedule as far as anything this week, other than obviously Easter today. But I mean, nothing really to speak for outside of the games we got coming up this weekend. We'll obviously highlight those throughout the week. League for Clubs, WPSL will get underway here starting in May, along with additional League for Clubs here across this country. So a lot of soccer on the platform coming your way. And I know the question was asked, hey, are you going to get doing calling some games? Yeah, I'm going to call some games. The reason why, Random Mossy, I have not been calling a ton of games is we need to get people reps, right? I've done 1,800 of these things over the last couple of years. I'm like Iron Man. My wife's like, you can rest now, John. I'm like, clip my fingers and you can rest. No, I make we're just going through the growth and trying to getting our new commentators reps, getting them an opportunity to call the game, right? And the only way that you can get better at this, just like anything in life, is you got to get people in the chair and get them on the microphone and get them to do it. And the more they do it, the more comfortable they are. The more comfortable you are, the better you'll do, the better you'll perform. And that's what we're trying to do here. And so, yes, I do plan on calling a whole bunch of games this summer. Obviously, being a producer, I'm still in the studio producing away. So that's really been where I've spent most of my time, getting the production side of the stuff up and running. So, but yeah, that is a wrap here on episode number 68. We're rolling here. Episode 70 coming your way here on Wednesday. Hard to believe, 70 episodes. I think we'll have John Natale here tomorrow morning on the show with us again. He'll join us every single Tuesday We'll confirm that here later today. I know that we have him basically set up for Tuesdays moving forward, but either way, that is episode number 68. Make sure you subscribe us, like us with your friends and family. Make sure you come back tomorrow, same time, same place on Inside the Game on the National Soccer Network. So long, everybody. This has been a presentation of the National Soccer Network.